One of my all-time favorite bands, and one of, I think, brilliant artists. Walter Becker passed away today. He was part of Steely Dan. Steely Dan was, well, from the time when I was 16, when they came out with their first song, um, Can't Buy a Thrill, the music resonated with me. And throughout their career, it has been one of the staples that I have always been drawn to. Walter was a brilliant, brilliant musician. In fact, what made the combination so good was the collaboration between him and Donald Fagen. Their music I'd love to play it, but with the copyrights and everything these days, you can't. So if you've never listened to Steely Dan, go and listen. If you've listened to rock radio, classic rock radio, still hard to believe that they call it classic rock radio. But in any case, you'll hear Steely Dan. And their music was much a part of my generation. And the thing about the great bands, they never ran out of creative material. And there was a sophistication to their music. Walter was self-taught. And isn't it so true how so many of the greats, and no matter what this is, it can be anything, maybe even yourself, and what he contributed back. That's something I really see the difference between many of the really great bands, Supertramp, Steely Dan, 10 Years After, Humble Pie. I mean, the Allman Brothers Band. I could go on. Was that we were pioneering new avenues, and the artist, they had to not only, I think, endure some of the criticism, because back in that day, you have to remember, Frank Sinatra and Dean Martin, and, I could go on, the minstrel singers. There was a real battle for the consciousness of the youth. And men like this. And the thing about it is that they put more energy into their music. And it's still felt today. And the thing I love about, and you know who the greats are, they're not one-hit wonders, but their talent. And as the case with Fagen and Becker, there was a magic, there was a harmony. They were sophisticated. It was jazz, rock, it was blues, classical, it was funk. And they never had to depend on their last hit. They always had music. When they split up in 81, Fagen had out 2 great albums. Beck put out an album himself. And it was great music. And that's the great musicians. They have the ability, like Lennon, McCartney, Clapton, Harrison, Winwood. I could just go on and name them. these are the ones that will eventually become known as our gods of our era. Seriously, if this goes on 1,000 years from now, they'll look back on this, if we make it that far. Because what we have today is just, I still say that we were in a period of time where this type of talent came through. But I enjoyed their music. It rescued me many times. And I was looking at the album covers. The great thing about albums was that you weren't sure what new artwork was going to be on there. How was this going to be expressed? I think of the Blind Faith album, how iconic that is. Sgt. Pepper's. And even with Steely Dan, I want you to take a look at this. Now, the artisan here is truly expressing something that is primal. In fact, it could very well be representative of a system. And here's how I interpret it. It's a great album, by the way. Do we create our gods in our sleep? Or is it the only time the gods can speak to us is when we sleep? But gods they are, regardless of be that we see them not. And whether they live in our dreams alone, their image cannot be forgot. Now that's what I see. What do you see? But I'm going to miss them. This is me a couple of years ago at their concert at Red Rocks, recovering from knee surgery. To that. But all I have to say, Walter, play on, my friend. I look forward to hearing what you discover next on your journey. I believe that the talents that we perfect in this life carry over into the next. And music is a vital part of creation. I dare say that creation could not exist without music because it's an intricate part of the fabric. It's an expression that never needs a word. It just needs a frequency, a harmonic. And when the soul and spirit are in tune, music is created. No less a wonder than any other part of creation. Thank you, guys. It was a wonderful time listening to you. And I hope, Donald, you keep on playing. All right.